Hi, everybody. My wife and I recently completed a 5,000-mile EV road trip through 12 states, 3 national parks, and Mount Rushmore. Excited and a little nervous, we wondered if an electric vehicle could comfortably handle the wide open spaces, the mountain roads, national parks, small towns, urban areas, long days, and places where charging and cell service are not guaranteed. For us, the answer was yes. Absolutely yes. But it was not the same as a gas-powered car road trip. It took a little more planning, a little more flexibility, and after 92 hours of driving time, we picked up a few lessons learned along the way. And it was totally worth it. The car for our drive was our 2026 Tesla Model Y, which has the latest hardware 4. We call it Sparky. It is a premium all-wheel drive model running FSD 14.3.3 with 19-inch wheels. The only customization was tinted glass on all the windows, especially the rooftop. And on a trip like this, you need to spend a lot of time in the car, so comfort, storage, charging, visibility, and driver assist features all matter more than you might think. A few small accessories made the trip much easier. The phone mount was mainly for using Waze in order to see traffic alerts, debris notifications, pothole warnings, speed traps, and speed limit warnings without holding the phone. Extra USB ports were helpful because, frankly, Tesla's wireless charging pads can turn into phone cookers. Wired charging was faster, cooler, and more reliable. The cord could reach the phone on the mount, so I could see the phone and charge it at the same time. The console organizers and indoor trash cans helped make the most of the abundant storage space. We had floor liners that protected the car from dirt and from hikes, and sunshades were not glamorous but helped keep the car cool when parked in the sun. My biggest disappointment was the 12-volt refrigerator. We bought one for the sub-trunk, but it arrived defective, and we did not have time to exchange it as we bought it online. So we were stuck dealing with ice chests and getting ice from hotels, camps, and stores. We did fine without it, though we did not have that much that needed to be kept refrigerated, so it's not a great loss. The safety gear was mostly stuff we never needed, which is exactly how you want it. The window breaker and rear door loops, those are the big ones. Of all the accessories, those are seriously the most important. Everyone in the car should know where they are and how to use them. They are cheap, simple, and in a dead car emergency, they could keep you or your passengers from being trapped inside. We carried jack pads, which are important because not every roadside shop knows how to lift a Tesla correctly, and improper lifting can damage your car. The car wash supplies were not about keeping the car spotless. Clean glass and clean cameras are part of the safety system and are required for FSD to function properly. After dust and bugs and mountain roads, I cleaned the cameras and windshield every day. And we threw in a first aid kit, which I'm happy to report remains unopened to this day. Tesla's built-in navigation handled most of the trip very well, but there were some limitations that other apps helped address. Waze was very useful and the primary reason for the phone mount. It gave better alerts for traffic, potholes, constructions, debris, speed traps, and speed limits. Tesla FSD occasionally gets the speed limit wrong, so having another system to verify speed limits was helpful. Google Maps was useful as a second opinion for sanity checking confusing routes. PlugShare helped locate and verify chargers, especially non-Tesla chargers. ABRP, which stands for a Better Route Planner, was helpful in thinking through the longer, more remote legs. And to help pass the time, don't forget the music and podcast apps that you prefer. We also subscribed to AAA for an additional layer of roadside assistance just in case. Given the remote destinations we were visiting, it added a little extra peace of mind. Charging was the topic people have asked about the most. The good news is that the Tesla supercharger network is excellent. Most of the time, charging was easy, fast, and naturally built into the trip. But national park country is different. A charger that looks nearby on a map may still be an hour away. A hotel charger may be occupied. A destination charger may require the J1772 adapter. And sometimes the best option is just a regular outdoor plug by the cabin. My rule became this: always know your next charge. Not the whole week, not every stop after that, just the next charge. And do not charge to 100% unless you need to. That last 20 to 30% can take a long time, and Tesla often saves time by using shorter, more frequent supercharger stops. Now, range anxiety is real, especially if you do not trust the Tesla data to be correct, and there are times it seems just plain wrong. This happened once when we were at 15%, but still had 30 or 40 miles to our next charging station. And Tesla told us it would be at 14% when we arrived. No way, right? Well, I didn't know is that we were about to drive the next 10 or 15 miles, generally going downhill. And since Teslas use regenerative braking, that energy was poured back into the battery, and we did indeed arrive at about 14% at the next charging station. Set your arrival energy to a buffer you are comfortable with, especially when your destination is remote. Range anxiety is natural, but it gets much smaller when you have a plan A, a plan B, and the right adapter. Grok is a real game changer on long EV road trips. It made a fine road trip assistant. It was helpful for finding nearby superchargers, checking whether the hotels had destination chargers, explaining points of interest along the route we were driving, answering random questions, and searching for locations to send to the navigation system. It can provide reviews of restaurants in upcoming towns and also direct FSD to the one of your choice. It is especially useful on long drives where questions come up constantly. Where should we eat? What is that mountain? What is the population of this town? Anyone famous from this town? What are the yellow plants we keep seeing in the fields? Just know, like all AI models, it is sometimes just wrong, but it can be such fun. A great example of our use of Grok involved Laramie, Wyoming. We stopped there for the night and had enough time to drive around. I asked Grok, what are some interesting places nearby? And Grok directed us through FSD to navigate to an old prison where the Sundance Kid had been held. It proceeded to debunk some of the items in the movie The Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. After that, I asked about the University of Wyoming. Grok, via FSD, took us to the campus and told us about the school and their football team. It drove us to the football stadium and then, much to our surprise, drove us through the open stadium gate and underneath the stadium. I disengaged and left before we got into trouble. I then asked, is there a nice place to drive to see the sunset? And it took us to a magnificent hillside where we could watch the Wyoming sunset colors on full display. I think the biggest surprise of the trip was how much full self-driving changed the trip experience for us. We used it for about 99% of the miles, and overall I was extremely impressed. The 8, 10, even 12-hour driving days were not just tolerable, they were actually pleasant. And I really don't think we would do that trip in a gas-powered car. Now, this is important. Supervising FSD is a skill. After a while, you begin to recognize what might give FSD troubles and where FSD will have no problems at all. Because of this learning curve, though, I would not recommend learning it for the first time on a 5,000-mile trip. Practice it. Practice it with your friends who may be driving with you. Also, forget the streak. It will only cause frustration or cause you to miss scenic photo opportunities or make you want to park someplace you don't want to. I intervened dozens of times, primarily for photo opportunities, bathroom breaks, restaurant choices, and parking lot chaos. Don't let something silly like the streak cause diminished enjoyment of a once-in-a-lifetime journey. Now, most of the issues that we faced were mapping or speed limit related, which might also be mapping. A few times the car wanted to exit the highway for no reason. Sometimes it thought the speed limit was 75 when it was really 45, or 45 when it was 75. And in those situations, I took over. Not that anything unsafe was about to happen, but I wanted to be sure. I did have one true safety intervention during a truck merge when I did not like how the car, and frankly the truck, were handling it. I braked, let the truck pass, and we moved on. Now it might have been 100% okay, but I have no regrets about not finding out. Key lesson is this: FSD reduces fatigue, but it does not remove responsibility. So stay alert, ignore the streak, forget scorekeeping, and intervene early and casually if you can to keep the trip safe. When possible, intervene with the brake or the right button on the steering wheel. Forcing the steering wheel works, it does, but it can be jarring, and it's happening at a time when something might already be amiss. Now, even with those FSD issues, FSD made the long days far less tiring. With wildlife crossings and narrow mountain roads and wide open highways, I really felt like the best setup was my own vigilance plus the cars, cameras, and driver assistance of FSD. But the speed limit management and merge behaviors need to keep on improving, no question about that. So in summary, here are a few suggestions if you're thinking about such a trip. Plan your routes thoroughly ahead of time, especially if you're entering remote areas which may not have cell service or readily available superchargers. And practice supervising FSD. And practice interventions. This is especially true for a spouse or a partner that might not drive the car as often as you do. But if you expect them to sit in the driver's seat for the trip, they need to practice it ahead of time and really have a good feel for how FSD works. Plan your next charge before you leave your current one. Enough said. Don't worry about all of the charges, but do know where the next one's coming from. And trust FSD for routing you to superchargers. And be flexible. It may change that routing based on the reality of the current drive. Pay attention. FSD will surprise you at some point, and you need to be ready. Make sure you have a J1772 adapter for non-Tesla charging stops. They're cheap and readily available, and you may find that that's the only way you can get a charge at some point on these remote trips. When possible, find superchargers that are near your hotel so you can charge up the first thing in the morning or the last thing in the evening and be ready to go with a full or whatever's appropriate amount of charge for your battery for the trip. Clean your cameras and windshields as needed, at least daily, but more if it needs it. Have the right safety equipment, especially those window breakers. Make sure your occupants know how to get out of the car with no power. And when in doubt, intervene. Forget the silly streak. If you're not comfortable, don't wait and see if the car does the right thing. Just intervene. You know you can handle it and turn it back on when you are ready to. Lastly, enjoy the ride. I feel like we're pioneers in a new movement towards a safe and full automation world. It's not perfect yet, but it's fantastic technology. I'm proud to be a part of it. Hope you have a great trip. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.